All right, for table 2, we are doing the descriptive analysis for our other variables. So these are the variables that are continuous or integral ratio. And we're going to get the mean and standard deviation of each. And then we're also going to find the Pearson's R correlation as an effect size. So it's descriptive. So it's going to go in this table. So first of all, for units, we're going to get the mean of units. So mean, standard deviation, I'm going to say equals, and then average. So spelling out average equals average. I can then click into our data, and I just want to highlight units. And I can click on that top one and then put a colon and A, and it's going to go through that entire column A. And then when I press enter, it's going to give me the mean. Now when I go to standard deviation, I'm going to do equals stdev dot s for a sample, and then my parenthesis, and I'm going to go to the same column. So I'm going to start at A2 through A. Now you can see that it's referencing the sheet that it's from right here. So it's specifically saying that even though we're working in this sheet, we're referencing the data in that sheet. So that way it's not actually getting the information from this column right here. It's from the other sheet. So you're going to do that for any of the variables. Now, again, this is a different data set, but you'll do this for any of the variables that you have in your data set. Now, I typed the names up here just for clarity. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the relationship between each of these variables as a Pearson's R. So first of all, this row is units. This column is units. And so this value where there's a dash, we're not going to fill that in because that would be correlating people's responses on units to their own responses on the same variable. So it would be a 1 and it's pointless to report that. So we're not going to include that. And that's what these dashes are. So this would be GPA against itself. This would be work hours against itself, stress against itself, depression against itself. Now this, and you'll notice this in your data set, these are just numbered across the top for simplicity, but we're talking about the numbers that are right here. So the first correlation that I would fill out would be between GPA and 1, which is units. So I'm actually looking at these two variables together, and that goes right here. So I'm going to say equals correl for Pearson product moment correlation coefficient. And I'm going to highlight the data in those columns, and I'm going to do, just for clarity, I'm going to do GPA since that's what's the row first, and then I'll do the column. So I'm going to do GPA. I'm going to highlight the column responses for GPA. I'm going to do a comma, and then I'm going to highlight the responses for units. So when I go to data analysis, I can go ahead and highlight the entire thing, or I can just go ahead and again, I can type that top value, do a colon, and then do through A. And it's actually through A104. We know that, so we could just enter A104. Then after you do that, we're going to do our comma. Now you'll notice it changes color because we're looking at a different column, but I want to look at units and GPA. So I'm going to click on GPA. I'm going to do the same thing for the new column. So I'm going to say colon D104. It does need to be to the same number. So you can't do one from A2 to A104 and the other one from D2 to D without an end time because it's different. You have to have the same number of rows to do the analysis. And then when you end it, you add that end parenthesis, you can actually see Pearson's R right here. So it's a negative 0.07, but you're going to go ahead and press enter. Now, this is giving us the Pearson product moment correlation coefficient. It is not telling us the p-value, and that's not what you're doing with this table. You're just creating descriptive statistics, bivariate descriptive statistics, to talk about the size of the relationship between all of our continuous variables. So you'll continue this for the other variables. You'll have to go in and use this formula for each of the combinations. You'll need to do one here for work hours and units, and then stress and units, and depression and units. But you're not going to fill in the gray, and you're not going to fill in the dashes.